Hey guys, welcome back to the Wood Metal Workshop. I'm Kent. So, as the title says, 5 must-have or best tools for metal fabrication. Now, I haven't always had these tools. I've added to them. Some of these I've had since I started metal fabrication. Some of them I haven't. So, first thing, we're just going to assume that you have some way of hot gluing metal together. Stick, TIG, MIG, gas, something. Some way to make 2 pieces of metal stick together with the appropriate kind of metal that you're using. Now most of us are going to be fabricating in steel. That's where most people start. It's common. You can get it just about anywhere. So we're just going to assume that you're going to work in steel to start with. But all this stuff works for other metals as well. First thing that's on my list, and it's a go-to, and that is standard 4.5-inch angle grinder. It's a go-to. There's so many different discs for these. This one's got a cut-off disc on it, or a wafer wheel, or a zip disc, or whatever you want to call it. But that is where most people start cutting metal. Something that they miss that's a great tool for making big pieces of steel and little pieces of steel is your standard jigsaw. Now, I always have one of these in the shop. This is a corded model. I tend to use a lot of corded tools in the shop because power's right here. And, you know, screw gun, impact driver, that stuff, of course, cordless. But everything else I use usually has a cord on it because I don't have to worry about charging batteries. So anyways, jigsaw with, this one's variable speed, which is what you want, and some metal cut-off blades of the appropriate tooth count for whatever you're cutting. So, yeah, great tool to have in the shop. Cuts metal beautifully. Can do extremely intricate, fine cuts with it, and it's fairly quick. So, get yourself one of these. Then, of course, you're moving up a step. Got to cut a lot of big panels, thicker stuff, straight cuts. You can't beat a metal cutting circular saw. This one's a Milwaukee. It does a really good job. Right now I believe I've got a Diablo blade on it. Yep, got the Diablo blade on it. They're a little cheaper than the Milwaukee blades, work just as well. So metal cutting circular saw, definitely on the list as you move your way up in making big pieces of metal into little pieces of metal. So then you can put them back together and make big pieces of metal. Something that a lot of people overlook, especially when you're first starting out, is a nice solid flat work surface. And I mean flat. Okay, this is a piece of precision ground 2-inch thick steel that came off a milling machine. Perfectly flat. Great. You don't have to have this. I mean, the thing weighs 1,200 pounds, plus the stand that I built underneath it. You go on YouTube, you see a lot of welding tables that are being built with slats, either solid metal slats or rectangular tube slats. Good way to go, because you can get it flat. And that's what you want. You want flat and a way to clamp things down to it. So, flat is important when you're laying stuff out. I know I've said flat a lot, because flat is important. Okay, so indispensable tool. You can do it down on the floor on concrete. There's some videos out there showing you how to use the 3-point method to get stuff laid up really nice, which is great. But for your everyday projects and a lot of stuff that most beginners are doing is fairly small. You're not doing big stuff, you're doing small stuff. Flat. So make yourself, count it being one of your first welding projects, to make yourself a welding table. Over here behind me, we have the dry cut saw. This one happens to be a Jepson. It's a little higher brand. It's made in Germany, and a little better quality than some of them. Yeah, but they all cut the same. They all do the same job. There's no coolant. It's not a cold cut saw. Cold cut saws use coolant. This is a dry cut saw. It uses a carbide blade to take chips out. All the heat goes into the chips, or most of the heat goes into the chips, leaving your metal in excellent shape A lot of times you don't even have to dress anything like this right here. This is a piece of 2-inch, I believe it's 1095. This is chrome plated. I took the chrome plating off on the lathe before I cut it in there because the chrome plating will absolutely destroy carbide tip blades. But yeah, beautiful surface finish, nice and square. Great way to do it. So that's definitely on my list. I would put this before a horizontal bandsaw. I know people, oh, I love my horizontal bandsaw. You can set it up, you get it going, and you walk away. Yeah, you walk away and you wait 5-10 minutes for it to make a cut on something like that. Or you can cut it on here in less than a minute and get on with your project. Between the two, I have a horizontal bandsaw. It's great for what it does. It makes nice cuts. I've got a vertical bandsaw. It makes wonderful cuts. You've seen it in a bunch of my videos. That's my go-to. If I'm going to cut tubing or anything like that, this is my go-to. You can't beat it. And like I said, there's a bunch of manufacturers out there that make them from low quality up to high quality. So pick your poison. I went with the buy once, cry once. So that is our top 5 fabrication tools. Angle grinder, jigsaw, metal cutting circular saw, flat welding surface, preferably made out of metal, because then it works as you can put your work lead on it anywhere and it'll transfer that through, so you don't have to be chasing around with your work lead on projects that will fit on your welding table. And your dry cut circular saw. So for those of you who stuck around this long, got a bonus item. Let me flip the camera around here. This is something I find indispensable when doing fabricating. It's a vise. Just a standard vise. Doesn't have to be a vise this big. Any vise will work, as long as the jaws are fairly parallel, and when you close it, it clamps tightly. You don't have to have a swivel. Fixed base is fine. But my cue to this is that you want it this way, on the other side. You want it secured. Mine sits on a post that's bolted to the floor. Okay? That's a 1/4-inch wall, 5-inch square tube with a 3/8 plate on the bottom, 3/8 plate on the top, cut out to the shape of the vise base. So there's nothing here. You can run stuff straight through. But yeah, little bonus footage for you there. Bonus item, a good vise. Like I said, this one's 140 pounds or something like that. It's a big one, 6-inch. Opens up like 13 inches. Anyhow, get yourself a vise, make a way to mount it to your welding table. Alright guys, thanks for watching. That's it. 5 must-have, best tools for metal fabrication with the bonus footage. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. If you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for more content. And let's get back into the shop and get something done.